Hi friends, Pastor Terry here. We are Okotoks Alliance Church. These are Thursday Thoughts. Gorgeous spring-like day out there. It's February, my goodness gracious. It's something else to see what's happening. I wonder where the rest of the year is going to go. Maybe you're thinking the same thing. We're going to talk about leadership this Sunday. What do you admire in a leader? What are the qualities that you look for if you're going to follow someone? I mean, good grief, it's all over the map these days, right? Depending on what news channel you prefer to follow or who you like to follow on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or whatever your social media preference is. We've had, in recent years, an example of a brash, bombastic, wealthy leader in the United States. A lot of people liked it. Here in Canada, Trudeau takes some pretty serious hits for his leadership, or what some would argue is a lack of leadership. Now the Conservative Party is without a leader, and they're going to be going through it. What kind of leader? What kind of leader do we want? What are the characteristics? What are the qualities? What are the intelligences? What are the skills, abilities, the charisma? The people that our world commonly looks to for leadership often are the people who they stand out, right? So maybe it's the influencer, right? It's the athlete who has demonstrated. Maybe you're following the Olympics right now. The athlete who's demonstrated an extraordinary rigor. So it's not just aptitude, right? For an athlete, you got to have some natural, coordination and balance and aptitude. But there's also an enormous amount of rigor that's attached to athletic success. If you want to be an NBA star, if you want to be a NHL star, if you want to be in the Olympics, you are going to have to invest thousands of hours in training and diligence, and you're going to have to deny yourself all kinds of other things in order to stay focused on that prize, win that prize. What do you value in leadership? What is it that you look for? We're going into 1 Timothy chapter 3 this week. Timothy has been an understudy of Paul, a mentoree to Paul. Paul has mentored him. We've called this series Mentored by the Great Apostle Paul, because we want to be mentored by Paul too. We want to sort of vicariously through Timothy's experience. And one of the things that we need to do this Sunday will be to kind of go back and retrace some of the steps, go back with a bit of a review, because it's very easy to lose. As soon as you start to drill down into one passage like we have the last couple of Sundays and ask kind of some really specific questions, it's easy to lose the forest for the trees, to get caught up in the detail and miss the larger perspective. And so we're going to go back and we'll look at the larger perspective, because one of the great concerns that Paul has is the leadership of the church. God values good governance. I don't know how you can live in our country and not be aware of what's going on in Ottawa, what's going on Coates Crossing. There are a number of other places in our nation where protests have broken out. Regardless of the merits of the concerns, the danger is that mob rule becomes a norm. We call that anarchy. God values good governance, proper process, well monitored. He also values, this is the thing that's kind of crazy, and we'll look at this in a little more detail on Sunday. He values character. In fact, you look at the qualifications for leadership that we come to in 1 Timothy chapter 3, and none of them are talent-based. The word charismatic does not show up in that list. Tall, handsome. If you know your Bible, that was a problem for King Saul. The nation of Israel wanted a king, and they got what they asked for. He was tall, he was handsome, he seemed like the ideal leader, and he was not. He was not. In fact, the biblical pattern from the earliest pages is that God chooses the unlikely people in order to lead them. There's an Old Testament pattern of the idea that the oldest son would inherit, the oldest son, and God was always turning it on its ear. It was the youngest son that he would work through, that he would bless, that he would... Maybe society at large has got some things really wrong. I think we need to seriously consider that. And I think then we really need to seriously consider where is it that our perceptions of leadership, our perceptions of the way things ought to get done, our perception of the way that we even ought to protest when things are not going in the right direction. I think we need to a sober rethink, because we're in danger of having actually adopted a bunch of ideas from the world that just are not biblical ideas about what it means to be an influencer, what it means to follow Jesus and have others follow us as we follow Jesus. That's where we're going to go this Sunday. Paul is going to continue to lead us as he coaches Timothy on his leadership in the church in Ephesus. And so read the first 14 verses of 1 Timothy chapter 3 if you can. Read the first chapter of Titus. There are two letters written by Paul, each written to younger men that he was mentoring, Timothy and Titus. Each of them were sent to different cities. Paul left Timothy in Ephesus. He sent Titus to the island of Crete. They have similar but different assignments, but a lot of the language is very similar. And so they speak to each other. They help us understand one another better. Read them both. It won't take you long. And then let's come. Over the past 2 Sundays, I have asked that we would be willing to consider the possibility that God's design is good, even if we don't understand it. That the work he wants to do is good. We were talking about gender there. We're moving on to talk about his design in the church, his design of leadership, his design for how his bride, one of the names he gives us, the church, his hands and feet, how it is we are supposed to function together in a way that is then appealing and compelling in our world, keeping as the bullseye ahead of us the sharing of the good news about Jesus. There is one God, one mediator between God and man, 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 5. That man is Jesus Christ, one mediator. That's at the very heart of the mission. It's the very heart of the gospel. It is at the very heart of what we must be about. Therefore, the characteristics, the qualities of those who would help us get there, extremely important. We're going to look at it this Sunday. I hope you can be with us. We will live stream. Will start at 9:50 a.m. And the service begins at 10. We are open. Restrictions are being reduced in our province. It doesn't really affect us as a church. I mean, we don't have capacity restrictions now. We will continue to be masked. We will continue to distance people in the sanctuary until capacity demands that we not. So we'll use every second row, some things like that, just to kind of ease into where our province is going. So come if you're comfortable, if you're healthy. Otherwise, worship with us from home. Bring your kids to Kids Zone. We're still ramping up Kids Zone, so give us some notice. Help us make sure that we've got capacity. Julia's doing a lovely job there, and if you have some talent, abilities, or interest in serving children, she would love to talk to you. She's a wonderful leader, and she would love to talk to you and help you get connected and serve among us in our children's ministries. Lots going on. 9:50 a.m., 10 a.m., service begins. I hope you'll be with us this coming Sunday. I'm Pastor Terry Lee. We are Okotoks Alliance Church, and these have been Thursday Thoughts. Thanks for your time with me. Looking forward to seeing you this weekend. Bless you and bye for now.